So right after the election, I remember seeing a video where this couple was on celebrating the fact that 47 won and said, yes, we'll finally be able to buy a house. I looked for that video and I couldn't find it. I wanted to check in and see if they were ever able to purchase that property because, see, I work in real estate and it is not getting easier to purchase a property outside of the looming government shutdown and the obstacles that that will place in anyone's path who is currently in the process of buying a house. Outside of that, interest rates have not decreased. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Natalie, I saw Jerome Powell, he caved. They dropped the interest rates. Do you know why? They dropped the interest rates because the unemployment rates are still up. They're actually higher than they were the month before. Also, inflation is still up. Both of those need to come down. So they dropped the rates to try to encourage employers to spend more, to hire more people. But that did not drop the mortgage rates. Mortgage rates, they look at other things like the bond market. Do you know how the bond market is doing right now? Not good. Do you know why? Because see, the thing is the US has typically been viewed as a safe bet. However, that is not the case now. Other countries, companies, corporations are not, they're not feeling very sure that the US will be able to repay its debt. And because of that, they are not buying bonds. Some countries have already cashed their bonds in. And that means we need to sell more because the debt is how we are able to run this country. Because, balancing a budget, we haven't done that since Clinton. I mean, who wants to do that? Yeah. So no, mortgage rates have not come down, which makes it harder to purchase a property because housing prices are also up. And I've also been talking to some builders, and they are increasing the prices on the properties that they are building. Do you know why? Because the tariffs that this administration has placed on other countries, that is causing the cost of goods to increase greatly. And also, it has affected their hold time or the amount of time that they have to hold properties before they can sell them because there is an additional time in order to get through the tariff rigmarole. Now they are ending up holding these properties longer than they typically would, which means they are paying more in insurance and inspections, and it's costing them more. So of course they're not going to be good builders and like just absorb the cost and like do this for free. Like they need to make something. So in order to make something, they are passing that cost on to the buyers. And also, homeowners insurance is increasing. If you have a house now, if you have, even if you have a renter's policy, you've probably seen an increase. That is because insurance companies are increasing their insurance rates. They took a pretty big hit during COVID while y'all were all sitting at home and looking at the walls and deciding, I think I need a new roof. And oh, wait, I think this needs to be fixed. And you filed all those insurance claims. They took a real big hit. And now they're trying to recoup some of that money. And some things just can't be avoided. So some properties are uninsurable because of the condition of the property. See, here in Mississippi, we have, depending on the area, there's some pretty cheap home prices, specifically compared to like other large metropolitan areas. Let me tell you about a client. I was talking to the banker earlier, and yes, she's going to have to deny this client because this client is under contract to purchasing property for $179,000. Now, I'm not saying that's a little, I'm not saying it's a lot. I'm saying that's what they are under contract to purchase this property for. However, they are going to be denied because the cheapest insurance quote they could get was $5,300. And in case you do not know real estate, that is a lot. Very expensive. An annual payment, $5,300. That was the cheapest one. Can you imagine almost $500 a month going just to pay the homeowner's insurance? Not taxes, not the actual mortgage payment, just the insurance. I've said often, and if you've been here for a while, you have heard me say, if you need a house, buy a house, especially if you look like me, because this administration is doing everything in their power to prevent you from being able to do so, including rolling back civil rights protections. Those pesky little protections that allowed women to purchase properties and have their own bank accounts and actually get credit. Other provisions that prevented bankers from discriminating against you based on your race, your creed, color, country of origin, religion. Yeah, they're rolling those back. We don't need those protections. If you need a house, you need to buy a house. Well, you can. It's almost like somebody knows that the most accessible way to build wealth is through home ownership. And it's almost like somebody doesn't want the average everyday American to be able to do that. Hmm. So the government will shut down in a few hours. The tariffs are causing a drastic increase. The builder, their cheapest house is about just say 225. That same house without additional square footage, without additional amenities, now they're going to sell it for 245. And the other ones that are like 240 already, they're going to be going for 280 because they're larger. So they're paying more tariffs on the goods that they're importing to build it. $20,000 housing increase, not additional square footage, not an extra garage, just because of the tariffs and the time that is now taking to get the goods from the other countries as they travel through customs and are delayed at ports until the tariffs can be paid after it's been calculated. Do you see how all of this is cyclical? Yeah. And I know a lot of people who work in the real estate industry who are very excited to support this administration, and that is your choice. But I was here in 2008. I remember very clearly what it was like to get deals to the table and to get a call, and the funding was pulled. The transaction could not close because the buyer's lender no longer had access to their line of credit. I remember going months, months without getting paid. I remember what that was like. And that is likely where my trauma has come from, as I have been preparing for this recession since November. Because you don't have to have the knowledge that I have. You don't have to read the books that I read. You do not have to take the historical context that I have done in order to see the writing is not even on the wall. The writing was in the book that y'all said wasn't real, but magically over 60% of it is complete. Housing prices will come down at some point, but it won't be because of anything this administration is doing to benefit Americans. It will be because houses are being foreclosed on left and right, because people will be losing their jobs, because companies will not be able to afford to keep their employees. If you need a house, you should probably buy a house. And if not, then you don't need to. And that's okay. What is important is that you have options. Ownership gives you options. And that is what they are trying to take. They are trying to take your options away. The option to purchase a property, the option to be single if you choose, or to marry who you want. They don't want you to have options. The options to choose who will represent you. They don't want you to have them, which means you need to fight for them all the more.